Hey guys, welcome to the winners match of the MSL Group F. This is going to be a recast again, sorry. I actually thought that this was Fighting Spirit initially. It is in fact Odd Eye, so I actually did 2/3 of the cast thinking it was a completely different map and being really confused about certain things, especially, well, I guess I won't say it so I won't spoil the match. Upper left-hand corner we have Bogus as the orange Terran, bottom right-hand corner we have Guemchi as the yellow protoss. And again, this is not going to be on Fighting Spirit, it is in fact going to be on Odd Eye, which has kind of an inverted left to right mirror edge thing rather than the usual rotational mirror, which apparently is a lot harder to map. According Neil Bowman has a cool article up about it at SC2GG, which is I get my information about it in that regard. Anyway, I really feel like it comes down to two base play or extremely aggressive early play from the Protoss player, followed by aggressive expanding, because your 3 o'clock base for Guemchi or any base that you're going to take out in the field as your third base is extremely exposed. You've got two entrances, pretty wide open entrances. Yeah, you can lay a bunch of pylons, but that's a lot of resources you got to invest, and otherwise you just got so much territory to cover. It's difficult to cover all that territory from harass and worry about pushes and stop your opponent from kind of expanding whatever direction he's expanding at. Anyway, Bogus, yeah, he's been showing some pretty good stuff lately, and I got to say that last match he played it really well. I almost feel like it's a little bit of a build order victory though against Savior. He did execute very precisely, but still I feel like Savior just kind of ended up on the back foot, and I think Savior's almost getting a little bit predictable because he's been doing that a lot lately. He's been doing that just quick to 3 hive, and he's been doing it for a very long time. Anyway, in all the matches, this is actually Bogus's weakest, and but he's still above 50%. He's still been playing very well for STX altogether. By the way, he also goes by Assassin Cal, if you guys are more familiar with him in that of that name. So same player, just different. It goes by Bogus, and it's a lot easier to refer to him that way because then you're not confusing him with the other Cal. But yeah, let's see if he's going to have that MSL run. I don't think he looks like a champion yet, but at the same time, yeah, this is the place where guys prove themselves. Guemchi, on the other hand, it looked for a long time, I thought Guemchi was going to be the next big thing. He was going to be the next Jaedong of Protoss, I guess. It looked like he was just going to be this stellar player, that he had proved himself, that he had some really good wins against some really tough players right off the bat, and then he just kind of fell off and really hasn't been doing anything since. I'm kind of glad to see him in this MSL. He's been playing pretty well up to this stage too, so I expect a pretty solid fist fight altogether between these two guys. But between the two, I think I'm going to favor Guemchi just a little bit, and that really just comes down to, I guess, preference, not just to say the Protoss bias, but I think Guemchi's a little bit more established. Bogus hasn't had as much experience overall. Guemchi, I think, he's kind of he's had his feet wet with pressure situations here and there in Pro League and whatnot, and Bogus, while he has had that a little bit, I don't know as much, so just kind of play it in that way. Looks like neither player cheesing right off the bat, playing really creative. Once again, Bogus playing very light on the Marines early in the game. It's going to pay off for him, it looks like, at this stage, because he's able to brush that single probe back, and I haven't seen a second gateway planted. It looks like we are actually going to see direct robotics facility, very fast robotics facility from Guemchi. He hasn't produced well, I think he's maybe got one Dragoon out. He hasn't produced a Dragoon out yet. So, and this is going to be very difficult to pull off, but it's actually going to work well in his favor as well if he can stop that SCV scout, which looks like he's going to be able to, and it looks like that's not actually, well, it's kind of difficult to force your way up a ramp. But let's see if Bogus is going to be able to react to this in time, if he's going to have an indication of this. Really the critical stage is going to be a little bit down the line, and how well Guemchi hides the fact that he's gone so early tech, because usually when Terran players come down, they see that, hey, it's a Zealot blocking the ramp, and I'm not seeing any Dragoons whatsoever. They get a little suspicious, and there's that first Dragoon now. Really, the critical point is that he just kind of picks off this that SCV scout should it come around, and kind of show that he has a Dragoon, but he doesn't really reveal how many Dragoons he has out in the field, and doesn't kind of give an indicator that whether he's gone 1 gate or 2 gate, or whether he's gone 2 gate tech right off the bat, or 2 gate tech. And it looks like he's waiting. Yeah, there's the robotics facility now, so going to be a very fast Reaver attack. And actually, this might work out well against Bogus's build as well, because Bogus he's only produced a single Marine, so he's not going to have, not that the Marines are most powerful units against Reavers, but Bogus is going to have additional tanks, but which is usually, when you think about it, okay, second Dragoon, again, this is critical, needs to stop that SCV scout as soon as possible. Looks like he is going to be able to stop it. Critically didn't stop it for that SCV, saw that there was no expansion, so I think Guemchi has just kind of revealed his hand there. Looks like Bogus is going to know that essentially there's going to be some sort of fast tech head his direction. Now the question is he going to be able to stop it? Because when you see no expansion and you haven't seen a glut of Dragoons somewhere out in the field, you've got to know that it's coming to you. So But anyway, yeah, you don't end up with anti-air to deal. You've got to deal with just basically turrets as far as anti-air without the Marines to kind of support. But you'll have additional siege tanks on the ground, and usually I think the golden number is 3. When you have 3 siege tanks out, that, especially in kind of a general area, that's difficult to defend with that Reaver harass. So Bogus, he'll have a quick 3 siege tanks, but he's going to have a lot of territory he's going to need to cover, and that Reaver's coming out awfully fast. And I don't know if he really has an indication of how quickly it's coming out, because keep in mind this was all placed before even that first Dragoon, and it looks like he's already got 2 siege tanks out in the siege position. He's going to obviously need to unsiege those, but it's going to be a while before that 3rd siege tank is out. And this is a nice adjustment from Bogus. It looks like he's getting that armory to get that Goliath to provide a little bit of that mobile, again, that mobile fire that he's kind of lacking with those Marines to basically do damage to that shuttle. Now, the critical part for Guemchi here is Guemchi needs to absolutely make sure that he keeps that Reaver alive, because if he keeps that shuttle, and if that shuttle and that Reaver dies, he's just wasted a ton of resources. He needs to do some sort of economic damage, or at the very least, make sure that he keeps Bogus back. And if he does not keep Bogus back, if he loses the shuttle, he's going to be in dire straits. And it looks like he's already taken a single shot, which isn't too damaging. Keep in mind he's also got 2 Zealots, and it looks like he is going to be able to find this hole in the defense here to the south. Dropping the Zealot, looks like he's going to get 1 shot. Let's see how many SCVs he can get. Manages to get, oh, that was a lucky hit there for Guemchi, and he's already taken a lot of damage on that first tank. Let's see if he can get a 2nd shot off, able to stop that turret from going up. But that once that tank's down, really this defense is going to be a lot more ineffective, because essentially you can drop a Zealot. Actually, never mind, he's got 4 tanks. But essentially, he's going to be able to drop that Zealot. If he can just pick off that 1 tank, he's really going to open up this harass. But I got to say, Bogus was playing very greedy there. He didn't really evacuate his SCVs for a while. Then another lucky explosion, only taking 1 hit. And that Zealot actually coming out alive. And now Guemchi's going to follow this up with some aggressive expansion. Going to take 2. This is even more important that he keeps this Reaver alive now, because if he does not keep this Reaver alive, he's not going to be able to stop kind of that counter pressure. And looks like that shuttle taking a little bit of hit. He's already lost the Zealot, and that's so frustrating. Looks like it's a dud. Between actually all the troops he's got out in the field, the tank coverage, that Goliath, I think his shuttle's pinned in. Let's see if he's going to get 1 more shot. Not able to take that Goliath out. Loses the shuttle, loses the Reaver on top of it. And that's going to be the end of the harass. And Bogus defended that extremely well. He only lost, 3 SCVs and took damage on a single tank. And otherwise, yeah, he's rolling pretty. Now all he has to do is go up, do some damage into Guemchi's base, and Guemchi very light on troops. He doesn't have anything to defend this. He's got 3 Dragoons. So essentially, if Bogus sends out just a couple Vultures right now, Guemchi can't possibly cover all the territory. And if he threw in maybe a tank or 2, first of all, Guemchi's not going to have enough to send in the secondary harass. And interestingly enough, it looks like Bogus is just going to play a little bit more defensively. He's got that starport building now, maybe to go for that weapons too, and it looks like he just wants to play a starvation game, which I think is a huge mistake here. There's that 2nd and 3rd gateway being placed. This is the moment where Guemchi's most vulnerable here. He doesn't have a Reaver. He hasn't done any damage really with that Reaver. You have the superior amount of troops. Looks like he is sending those Vultures out, but really, yeah, I feel like a larger dedication of forces, being a little bit more aggressive, putting down some additional factories to flow out more Vultures to make sure Guemchi pays for going for additional expansions would be a little bit more warranted here. And instead, granted, he doesn't have an academy to comsat and see what's kind of happening out in the field, but it looks like he's actually not going to accomplish anything with these Vultures. So Guemchi's actually going to come out a little bit ahead here, especially because, yeah, just a couple Dragoons able to fend off this Vulture harass, and he's going to be able to spot, but doesn't get a single kill. So sending in 3 Vultures, not getting anything done with them, and now pulling back. And Guemchi, it looks like he's going to get that Citadel of Vadun to push up to Arbiter Tech. Looks like now maybe he's starting to move out. Science Vessel, and it looks like we're going to see a dropship. I assume we're going to see a dropship to move maybe the Vultures in, maybe do a 2-pronged attack, and there's the Arbiter Tech as well, but maybe just to counter the Arbiter Tech, maybe get a quick Science Vessel out so he can maintain map control into the mid-game. And I think he's thinking about more playing a defensive economic game, taking his 12 o'clock and relying on Vulture harass past that, which again I think is just a little bit overly optimistic, especially now because there's enough